Meet me at the mango tree behind the mosque tomorrow at 7 p.m. Come alone. Who are you? Onyeka asked. His voice barely above a whisper. You've been asking questions. A voice finally said. Onyeka lived in a face me, I face you compound in the heart of Ojueleba. The long, narrow building housed a collection of single rooms opening onto a shared veranda, a microcosm of life in Lagos, squeezed into concrete walls. Neighbors were practically family, their lives intertwined through shared laughter, borrowed groceries, and the ever-present drama of daily existence. You knew everyone's business, whether you wanted to or not. One sweltering afternoon, after a long navigating day in the chaotic traffic as a dispatch rider, Onyeka found a small folded piece of paper tucked under his door. It was plain white, no name, no markings, just a single sentence written in neat, almost formal handwriting. The Suya man knows more than he lets on. Onyeka frowned, turning the note over and over with his callous fingers. What was this? Some kind of joke? He knew several suya sellers in the area. They were a fixture of the Lagos evening. Their smoky grills, a beacon of late-night cravings. Which one? What exactly did they know? He shrugged it off, figuring it was probably just some mischief maker in the compound with too much time on their hands to play around. He tossed the note onto his small table and went to prepare his evening meal of eba and soup. But the next day, another note appeared. This one was slipped further under the door, as if someone had been more cautious. Same plain white, same precise handwriting. Your friend Chidi wasn't at the meeting he told you about on Tuesday. Onyeka's stomach clenched. Chidi was his closest friend. They'd grown up together in the village before they both moved to Lagos to seek their fortunes. On Tuesday, Chidi had mentioned attending a meeting for a new business venture. Onyeka had no reason to doubt him. Why would Chidi lie to him about going for his business? Now this note, a seed of unease, began to sprout in his mind. How would a stranger know that? Why would he tell me? Why would they want me to know? He tried to brush it off again, telling himself it was just still a prank. Maybe someone who overheard their conversation. Lagos was a city where privacy was a luxury few could afford. But the feeling of being watched, of someone knowing things they shouldn't know, began to prinkle at the back of his neck. Days turned into weeks, and the notes continued to arrive, each one more pointed, more personal. Mama Ngozi's prayers aren't the only reason her business is thriving. This one made Onyeka glance at the popular food vendor down the street with a newfound suspicion. Mama Ngozi was a known food seller, with fervent for her faith and the long hours she spent praying before dawn. What else could explain her success? What is this person trying to tell me? Then came the note that truly shook him. The dent on your bike wasn't from the pothole at Ikorodu Road. Onyeka's heart pounded. He had indeed gotten a dent on his bike recently, claiming it was from a particularly nasty pothole. Only he knew the real story. A minor scrap while trying to navigate a tight squeeze in traffic. Something he hadn't bothered to mention to anyone. How could this anonymous writer know about it? This is serious. This is strange. Onyeka muffled upon himself. Paranoia began to creep into Anyekan's daily life. He started looking at his neighbors differently. Was it Iyabola? Always so quick with a smile and a juicy piece of gossip. Or perhaps Baba Shaggy, a quiet teller who seemed to observe everything from his small shop. Even Chidi's easygoing demeanor now seemed to hold a hint of something hidden. He tried to confide in Chidi, casually mentioning strange notes. Chidi had laughed it off, suggesting it was probably just someone who had a crush on him and was being shy. But Anyeka saw a flicker on his friend's eyes, a brief moment of something unreadable that only intensified his unease. The notes were never accusatory, never threatening, but they were deeply unsettling in their knowingness. They painted a picture of a community where secrets festered beneath a veneer of friendliness, where everyone had their own hidden agendas, and Yekan felt like he was living in a fishbowl. His every move observed, his private life an open book to his unseen voyeur. He started paying close attention to his surroundings. He'd linger a little longer at the local kiosk, trying to catch snippets of conversations. He'd observe his neighbors' interactions, searching for hidden meanings or suspicious glances. Sleep became a restless affair, his mind racing with possibilities, each more unsettling than the last. Who was doing this? What do they want? And why are they revealing these seemingly random pieces of information? Was it a game? A warning? Or something far more sinister? One evening, he found a new note. This one felt different. The paper was slightly thicker, the handwriting a touch less formal, almost hurried. Meet me at the mango tree behind the mosque tomorrow at 7 p.m. Come alone. Wahala. A wave of fear washed over Anyeka. His hands and feet was trembling like someone who is being dragged by high-tension electric wire, followed by a surge of desperate resolve. He had to know who was behind this. This anonymous puppeteer had been pulling his strings far too long. He would go to the mango tree. He would finally face whoever was lurking in the shadows of his life. The next day crawled by. Anyeka went through his work in a daze, his mind consumed by the impending meeting. He tried to imagine who he could be. Someone he knew well, a complete stranger, someone with a grudge. The possibilities swirled in his head, each one more anxiety-inducing than the last. As dusk began to settle over Ojuelegba, casting long shadows across the compound, Anyeka made his way to the mosque. The air was still thick with the day's heat, but a slight breeze rustled the leaves of the large mango tree at the back. He stood in the semi-darkness, his senses high on alert. The sound of the neighborhood, the distant music, the chatter of voices, and the prayer call from the mosque, the clatter of pots seemed to fade into the muffled background. He waited. 7 o'clock came and went. Just as a knock of disappointment and perhaps a touch of relief began to form in his stomach, he heard a soft rustling in the nearby bushes. A figure emerged, their face obscured by the dim lights. Anyeka's breath hitched. He couldn't make out any identifying features, just a silhouette hiding in the fading lights. His heart hammered against his ribs. "Who are you?" Anieka asked, his voice barely above a whisper, trying to keep the tremor out of it. The figure remained silent for a moment, then took a step closer. Anieka could now make out a slight build. The way they looked at themselves, it looked vaguely familiar. "You've been asking questions," a voice finally said, soft but clear. It was a voice Anieka knew, but couldn't quite place in this context. It sounded younger than he expected. Another step further, and the moonlight filtering through the mango leaves illuminated the person's face. Anieka's blood ran cold. He knew this person very well. Someone who was a constant presence in his life. Someone who had never suspected. Someone whose secrets were perhaps even more intertwined with his own than he could have ever imagined. The revelation hung heavy in the humid night air. The unspoken questions and the potential consequences stretching out between them like a vast dark chasm. The game of anonymous note was getting over, but a far more complex potentiality of dangerous reality was just beginning to unfold under the watch and silent night of the old mango tree, right there behind the big central mosque. The person he thought he saw was someone who was supposed to be far away in his village. Before he could catch enough glance to make out for sure it was this person, the figure made his way back into the darkness. He tried to go after him, but he was too afraid to continue the chase. He turned around and fearfully made his way back home.